Arthur thought he was the master of his domain. He thought that because he held the keys to the cages, he held the power over the souls inside them. He'd spent years perfecting the art of the fake smile for the donors, while behind the scenes, he was a different man entirely. On this Tuesday afternoon, Arthur stood in the mud, staring into the eyes of Maya, a 5-ton Asian elephant he had treated like a piece of broken furniture for a decade. He laughed, tossing a handful of gravel at her feet instead of the promised fruit. "You're just a big gray wall, aren't you?" he sneered. "Forgetful and fat." But Arthur made a fatal mistake, one that most humans make when they look at a creature like Maya. He confused her silence for stupidity. He confused her patience for passivity. Fast cuts, a ledger being hidden, a hand striking a trunk, a group of people clapping. Arthur didn't know that Maya had been keeping a mental tally. Every stolen dollar meant for her food, every cold night without a heater, every time he had blamed a younger, innocent keeper for his own mistakes. Maya had stored it all, and today the ledger was full. Today the forgotten elephant was going to remind them all that her memory was a prison from which Arthur would never escape. If you believe that every living creature deserves respect and that justice always finds a way, subscribing helps us spend countless hours crafting these stories of triumph for you. Don't let these stories be forgotten. 10 years ago, Maya arrived at Silver Oak Sanctuary as a symbol of hope. She had been rescued from a traveling circus, her legs scarred from chains, her spirit dampened. The public loved her. Arthur, the sanctuary manager, knew exactly how to play the hero. He'd pose for the cameras, pretending to whisper secrets into Maya's ear. He'd feed her the finest apples while the local news cameras rolled. The donations flooded in, hundreds of thousands of dollars intended for Maya's golden years. But the moment the cameras turned off, the apples disappeared. The golden years turned into a rusted enclosure in the back corner of the park, far from the public eye. Maya's world shrank. She was no longer a star. She was a burden. Arthur's kindness was never consistent. One day he would be indifferent. The next, he would be cruel. He began to see Maya as a safe target for his frustrations. He knew she couldn't speak. He knew she couldn't report him to the board of directors. The man smells of sour sweat and lies. He brings the small, hard stones instead of the sweet red fruit. He thinks I am a stone too. But stones do not feel the cold. I feel the cold. I remember the woman who came before him, the one with the soft voice. I remember the scent of the rain before the roof began to leak. I am waiting. As the years passed, Arthur became bolder. He began to skim the maintenance budget. He replaced Maya's high-quality grain with cheap filler. He ignored the rot in her fence. He thought she would forget the comfort she once had. He assumed her size made her harmless. A massive storm began to brew on the horizon. The sanctuary's emergency drainage system was clogged, not by debris, but by Arthur's neglect. If the enclosure flooded, Maya, with her old arthritic joints, would be trapped in waist-deep mud. Arthur knew this. He didn't care. He had a gala to attend. Have you ever felt invisible in a place where you were supposed to be cared for? Share your experience in the comments. Enter Sarah. She was 22, a fresh veterinary graduate with a heart full of idealism. She was hired to assist Arthur, and from day one, Maya noticed her. Sarah didn't just feed Maya, she talked to her. She scrubbed her thick skin with care. She noticed the limp in Maya's back left leg that Arthur had been ignoring for months. But Arthur saw Sarah as a threat. She was too observant. She started asking questions about where the Maya Fund was actually going. To get rid of her, Arthur devised a plan. He stole a high-end, $5,000 portable ultrasound machine from the clinic and sold it to a private collector. Then, he planted the empty carrying case in the trunk of Sarah's car. He didn't know Maya was watching. From her enclosure, she saw him sneak into the clinic at 11 p.m. She saw him carry the black box to the fence line. She saw him hide his personal black ledger, the one containing the real names of the people he sold sanctuary supplies to, inside a hollowed-out wooden fence post near the back gate. Arthur laughed as he walked away, patting the fence post. He thought he was a genius. He thought the only witness was an animal that lived in a world of gray shadows. The girl with the soft hands is crying. I see the man put the black box in the metal carriage. He hides the paper book in the wood. The wood smells of rot and his oily skin. He thinks I am looking at the moon. I am looking at the wood. The board of directors was scheduled to arrive the next morning. If the ultrasound was missing and found in Sarah's car, she wouldn't just lose her job. She would go to prison. Do you think animals can sense when a person is lying? Type YES if you've seen it happen. The morning of the inspection was a disaster. The storm had hit, turning the sanctuary into a swamp of thick gray mud. Arthur was in a panic. The board was coming, but so were the private buyers he'd secretly contacted. He had decided that Maya was too much of a liability, now that Sarah was asking questions. He had arranged to sell Maya to a trophy safari park, a place where wealthy men paid to hunt captive animals. "Move, you useless beast!" Arthur screamed, jabbing an electric prod at Maya's shoulder. He needed her in the transport crate before the board arrived. But Maya wouldn't budge. She stood like a mountain. Every time Arthur hit her, a memory flashed in Maya's mind. Zap. The time he left her without water for 2 days. Zap. The time he let her foot infection fester while he bought a new truck. Zap. The tears on Sarah's face this morning. As the transport truck backed up, the ground gave way. The heavy vehicle slid in the mud, pinning the gate shut. Arthur was caught between the fence and the heavy steel bars of the crate. He wasn't crushed, but he was trapped in the knee-deep muck, unable to climb out. "Sarah, help me!" Arthur yelled. Sarah ran over, but the mud was too thick. "I can't reach you, Arthur. The gate is jammed." Maya looked at the fence post, the one with the ledger. The storm winds were battering it, and the rot Arthur had ignored was finally giving way. The board's black SUV pulled into the driveway. Arthur's face went pale. If they saw him trapped, they'd ask questions. If they saw the transport truck from the safari park, he was done. He tried to hide the electric prod in the mud, but he was stuck. What would you do if you held the evidence to ruin someone who hurt you? Would you release it immediately or wait for the perfect moment? This was the moment. The board members, led by a stern woman named Director Holloway, stepped out of their car. They saw the chaos, the transport truck, the mud, and their manager trapped like a rat. "What is the meaning of this, Arthur?" Holloway demanded. "It's Sarah," Arthur lied, his voice cracking. "She tried to sell the elephant. I caught her, and she pushed me." Sarah gasped, her eyes wide with shock. "That's not true. But then a sound stopped everyone, a deep, resonant rumble that shook the very ground. Maya moved. With one effortless pull, Maya shattered the fence post, but she didn't throw it. She carefully shook the wood until a small, leather-bound book fell into the mud. Then she did something even more incredible. She walked to the transport crate, reached her trunk into a gap Arthur thought was inaccessible, and pulled out a hidden compartment. Out fell the missing ultrasound machine Arthur had claimed was in Sarah's car. Maya didn't stop there. She picked up the mud-stained ledger with the tip of her trunk and walked directly to Director Holloway. The man is screaming. His voice is like a dying bird. I give the paper book to the woman with cold eyes. She will see. She will remember me. As Holloway opened the ledger, she didn't just find records of theft. She found the contract for the safari hunt Arthur had signed that very morning. Arthur tried to scramble away, but his feet were stuck in the very mud his neglect had created. Maya simply lowered her massive head and let out a trumpeting blast so loud it felt like a physical blow. She didn't have to touch him. The truth had already crushed him. Arthur was led away in handcuffs as the board realized the scale of his deception. He had underestimated the one creature who had the most to lose, and the best memory. Sarah was not only cleared of all charges, but she was appointed the new director of Silver Oaks. Her first act? Tearing down the back enclosure. Today, Maya lives in a sprawling savanna. She is no longer invisible. She is the heart of the sanctuary. People ask Sarah if Maya knows what she did. Sarah just smiles. She remembers the day she brought Maya a bucket of her favorite watermelons to celebrate their victory. Maya had taken one, but before eating, she had placed her trunk gently on Sarah's shoulder and held it there for a long time. It wasn't a thank you. It was a recognition. Two beings who refused to let the truth be buried in the mud. They thought she was forgotten. They thought her mind was a blank slate. But an elephant never forgets. And for Arthur, that memory became his life sentence. Maya's victory proves that kindness is never lost, and cruelty is always recorded. If Maya's victory warmed your heart, leave an elephant emoji in the comments. Who is the Maya in your life? Someone who sees everything even when they stay silent. Tell us about them below. If you enjoyed this story of justice, you won't believe what happened when a dog traveled 500 miles to find the person who abandoned him. Click the video on your screen to watch that next.